What's going on, guys? Welcome back to another episode of Russ on Mod. In the last few Friday videos, we've been trying to get together our 1950 Willys wagon to get ready for Hot Rod Power Tour. Now, you're trying to get that thing ready so it's roadworthy because we're driving from Maryland all the way to Atlanta and we want to not have any issues. So we're going to try to test this car out on our Hot Rod Power Tour journey. But another car that we want to take is something that we could also just hop in and cruise down the road pretty reliably. The C10 would be a really good option, but that thing only runs on E85, and so we wanted to resurrect and try to finish up another project that we have on the channel. Actually, the project that started the channel. Behind me is the 1961 Rambler station wagon that we ended up putting on a Corvette chassis, doing the entire custom chassis, doing an independent rear, an LS, and a T56. Now, I'll go and link all the Rambler episodes if you're not familiar with it up here, and you can see the entire playlist of how we built this car. But it's really what started the channel, it's what got us growing, and we want to bring this car back on the channel. Now, the last time you saw it, we went to Holly LS Fest and we did the track day with it, and it was really fun. We ended up racing it on the track, but towards the end of LS Fest, the car actually broke down, had some electrical issue, and the entire thing shut off, and we're stuck on the side of the road. So we had to literally strap it up and head back home because we were just so defeated with that trip. Now, ever since that trip, I literally unloaded it down in my basement here and it has been sitting for months since. And I haven't been able to touch it because we've been so busy with other projects. So now I want to try to get it ready and we're going to drive this thing on Hot Rod Power Tour, which when we started the Rambler project was the goal with the car. When we initially built the car back in 2018, we wanted to do Hot Rod Power Tour with it, but we ended up missing the deadline by 2 weeks. So we ended up road tripping it all the way to Holly LS Fest. Now the car was kind of rushed together to get it ready for that date, and we never took it on Hot Rod Power Tour, so this is the year that we're going to do it. So we're going to try to finish all the wiring and a bunch of other things on the Rambler, but first we have to get it out of my basement and take it to the shop. So now we're going to have two cars that we're going to have to finish Power Tour. We're going to have to finish the Willys, and we're going to have to finish the Rambler. And they're going to have to drive all the way from Maryland to Atlanta with no issues, or hopefully no issues. So we'll see how this goes. Hopefully we'll see you guys at Power Tour. Now let's get this Rambler out of the basement and to the shop. Alright, we finally got this thing out. Definitely been sitting outside and in the garage for a long time. And the last time we drove this thing was at LS Fest on the track. So hopefully we can get this thing back on the road and finally to Hot Rod Power Tour. So let's load this thing up on the trailer. Alright, got this thing loaded up. Hopefully the leaves blow off of it on the way to the shop. But we can finally start working on this thing and show you guys what we're going to improve on and show you guys the status of the Jeep, what our time frame is looking like on that, and we'll update you on some future projects on the channel as well. Alright guys, so we finally got the Rambler back at the shop. It's been a long time since we've actually worked on this car. We worked on it back, rushing to get it done for LS Fest, and we got a lot of stuff accomplished. We fixed the power steering, we fixed a bunch of issues that we had. Our power steering rack was completely leaking and all blown out and everything. We fixed a hydro boost, we welded in a roll bar in the back for harnesses and stuff like that, and we ran out of time and we had to leave. So we'd never really finished the interior wiring on this car, and that's something that I want to tackle before we go all the way to Atlanta for Power Tour. So I'm going to show you guys some stuff that we're going to do update you on the Jeep, where we're at on that, because we also have to get that car done for Power Tour. And I'll show you guys an update on the F250, where we're going on that, because that's going to be the next big project on the channel. We're going to build that entire thing, and you'll see it here on Rustamon. So we're going to show you guys what we're going to do to the Rambler. So one of the biggest gripes about this car is the interior. You can see the wiring mess that we had to deal with whenever we were stuck on the side of the road at LSFest. We literally left this car, and that was the last time I've even touched it. So we're going to rip out all this wiring mess in here and do an entire complete harness in this thing like we did on all the rest of the cars. We literally just have power, ground, and some switch toggles in it, and that's the only thing that's making this thing go. And it's been like that for years, and we really need to put an entire harness in this thing and do it proper. So we're going to take out all the interior, all the dash, and everything like that, and do everything right. And hopefully we won't have any more electrical gremlins whenever we go to Power Tour this year. Alright, so the next thing that we want to do is we want to finish the interior out. If you remember back when we built this car, we actually used the whole floor out of a Lincoln Aviator. We used all the seats and stuff out of that car. Now that worked out pretty good, and that way we could get seats in it really quickly. But we found whenever we were driving this thing on the track and we're doing autocross events and stuff like that, you just get thrown around in the Lincoln seats. So we switched to these bucket seats, and they work really well. So I want to get another set like the front to match the back, because the back, you don't have any console or anything to support yourself in this car, and you kind of sit really far in. So having a bucket seat's really nice in the back to keep you really in your place. So we're gonna add some seats like that in the back, and hopefully it'll be a nicer ride whenever we drive this thing on long trips. And then around back, the other thing I really want to get nailed down is one of the biggest issues with this car, and that's the fuel cell that we have in here. Now, whenever we built it, we really wanted to keep, there's a third row seat back here that faces out the back window, and I really wanted to keep that, but I don't think we're going to be able to make that work, because the fuel cell in this car is so skinny because of the foot room that you have for that back seat. And I'm really kind of tired of having fuel slosh issues, because we have an external pump and our fuel is just, we have foam in it, we have baffles, and it's just moving all around in the back of the tank. So I'm going to do an in-tank pump. We actually are going to use the same fuel cell that we got from Rhodes Racing that I'm using in the C10. So what we're going to probably have to do, since that fuel cell is a lot taller, is we're probably going to have to trim out this back section and have enough room to raise it up, because every time we go over a bump or come out of an incline, the fuel cell scrapes on the ground. So we're going to try to get it up higher, have an intake pump and hook lines to it, and it'll be done. So that's the next goal, and it'll be a lot bigger of a tank. This fuel cell is only around 10 gallons, so we're probably going to bump those numbers up to around 20 gallons, so that way we don't have to fill up all the time whenever we're going on Power Tour. Another issue that I really want to take care of in the back is the exhaust is super loud in this car. It does have mufflers on it, but on the inside, since there's no insulation or a carpet or anything like that in the back where the exhaust is, it echoes throughout the entire thing. So we want to get some kind of insulation down here, and I kind of have a cool idea for some storage that we can put in the back, so we'll work on that also. So off the top of my head, that's pretty much what we have to do on the Rambler. I do have some other plans for it, just little nitpicky things like in drivetrain wise, just go over everything, make sure all the power steering still works good, the engine still runs good, maintenance, everything like that. But those are the big things that we have to get done on the Rambler. There are some weird suspension things that we're going to knock out also. Hopefully get all that stuff dialed in. Now on the Jeep, we have some in progress updates for you, because we're not having a Jeep video this Friday, but we are working on the wiring as we speak. The body is still off the frame because we want to wire everything under the hood, that way we can get to everything. And whenever we put the body back onto the frame, it'll be the last time. We just have to hook up power, ground, starter, and everything like that, and we will have the Jeep done and it should be ready to go. Hopefully we'll have this thing done here in probably about a month or so. So once this is done and out of the way, we can start on the Rambler. We're going to get everything dialed in on the Jeep and on the Rambler so we can see you guys at Hot Rod Power Tour. So on the Jeep frame, we have all the fuel lines and all the brake lines dialed in. We have our motor finally mounted into place. The injection pump, it runs and everything like that. All the fluids are topped off. We just literally have to bolt the body back onto the frame. So we're pretty close on this, and we'll probably have it done here soon. And you guys will see those on future Jeep episodes we have every Friday. In the background here, we do have some Detroit steel wheels that we just got freshly powder coated. And these are actually going on our new wheels and tires that we're using for our 59 Ford F250 project that we're going to assemble and get that thing ready. So hopefully we can have that thing down at Holly Ford Fest this year. So we have a Mercury here, and this thing has been my daily driver for the past few months now. been running great, and it's a really nice car, but it's a little too nice for us. It's not really Rustomod spec. It has a really nice paint job, and I just hate leaving the thing outside. So our original plan was to drive this on Power Tour just because it was easy to fix, but part of me really just wanted to drive something that we built so you guys can see it whenever we hit the road. So I ended up changing my mind and just taking the Rambler. That way it will motivate us to get that thing done. And I ended up freeing up some funds and ended up selling the Mercury. And it's actually going to Florida to its new owner, and they're probably going to take a lot better care of it. It's a lot more their style, so I don't have to leave the thing outside and let the paint get all messed up. Behind me is a 50s Chevy, and it's not mine, it's a coworker's, but he's actually probably going to have this on the channel. He's putting a big block and stuff in it. It's a pretty cool car that we'll probably see a little bit of it on the channel too. And then we have the frame ready to go for the F250. I have to mount the motor and transmission in that thing, and once I mount the motor and transmission into this frame, that project will start to roll and we'll get moving on the F250. It's all sandblasted and everything is ready to go to mount stuff too, so that's pretty nice. And we'll get to that project once the Jeep build is finished. All right, and now finally, last but not least, the old F250 still sitting over here. I actually kind of had to rob some parts off of it to make the Mercury run and drive, but it's still sitting here waiting for its Coyote swap. We ended up changing the plans on this thing a little bit. We went to a different transmission, and I'll explain all that stuff when we go through the build series. But that's pretty much going to do it for this episode. A little shop update for you guys so you guys can see what we're doing behind the scenes and when we're going to see you guys at Hot Rod Power Tour this year. So I'm really excited. I've always wanted to do it, especially with the Rambler and the Jeep. I think it's going to be really fun. So hopefully we'll see you there, and we'll see you guys on the next episode. Thanks for watching.